Hey, what's up? I'm in the next part now. Please go check out the previous part to get your bearings. It's setting the stage for this particular part. I'm getting somber now because this topic is very heavying. Women, I don't know why you stand in the gap more for men than for other ladies. You proper need to know when to let a woman let go. Or either she must not end up 6 feet under, or the husband, or we are dealing with both of them because it's a murder-suicide. Like an irresponsible union in Jefela that was with all the flags flailing already from the get-go, but Wonkomuntu was insisting that a woman be the rehab psychiatrist of a boyfriend. I'm sorry, no. Like begezela, khotlela, aye, by all means, insofar as it is worthy for you to ubegezel. But this rubbish, your prodigal spouse, prodigal son, you will literally lose your mind, be driven up walls, hoping that a man will one day wake up and realize what needs to happen. In the scriptures, it is clear men are to lead, and if he is not leading right, you as a woman will never lead him. It's that basic. It is not yours to lead him. So get out. Anyway, I told you in my previous part, I was talking about how it is that my ex's family, one by one, females, ended up afflicting me with petitions to get back with my ex. I started dreaming. The first one to flood me was his, what do you call this? One of his cousins. I gave her the name Ritzi. She first called me. I would not bite, right? I wouldn't bite. First, it was my own cousin. I wouldn't bite. However, cousins in his family, this chick calls me. I wouldn't bite. After not biting, a few weeks from that date, I get this horrible dream where I'm basically go society thing, like one of those female gatherings where women just kind of get together to gossip and what have you, and then they exchange monies, and yeah, the one lady's given all the money, and then yeah, whatever society manish, I don't even want to explain it, and they rotate month on month to basically save money, yeah, type thing. I was go society, and this society was society for the women in his family. It's like the women in his family had come together to start a society of this sort, where every month they would meet and money would go to one particular lady, but it was for family, and I was there, and I could not understand what I was doing there. And then this woman's husband came and picked her up to go, and all of them, their husbands or slash boyfriends, came and picked them up to go, and I was left there by myself with my ex not coming. And in the dream, I was feeling very sad that my ex didn't come, and woke up out of that dream in the morning feeling a sense of loss, feeling like something's missing, feeling like I belong to that family and I miss my man. Yeah, witchcraft. I was like, I didn't even understand that dream at the time, because when I was still employed, I didn't understand my dreams. But later, as the months would progress, as the years, because only when I was suffering did I eventually embrace my spiritual gifting and realize what in the world God was showing me. Yeah, she tried to make me come back. The sense of loss when I woke up in the morning was big, and it was real. But I literally on some, no, I'm not going back there. That was the first situation. The next one was of his mother, and the dream with his mom. I got it. What was I still employed, or was it after we broke up? With his mother, yeah, of course it was after we broke up, but I can't, let me think. Was I living in my apartment? Or, okay, let me just tell you the dream, because I can't remember at which point I got it, right? Toroena. Mara, in this dream, the mom was wearing, mourning clothes, yeah, the mother was rocking mournful attire, like she had lost either a husband or a child, alright? Yeah, she was in mourning and very, very distressed. The kitchen, she was in the kitchen, the house where they lived, right? She was in the kitchen, and she was very worried about her son, Nonsi, my ex, right? On some, ngwanaka ukokai, where's my child, where's my son, I'm worried that my son is not gonna come home, right? And then his son, his son comes. But his son came in, all right, from where it is that he was, with another woman. And this woman in my dream was just a woman. Like, she was the skinny, like, short lady. She was a short, skinny lady. right, that was with him. And she was wearing like some black dress, like, but it wasn't like all the way down. It was like knee length and stuff. And the son rocked up with this short, skinny girl, right? And the mother was like, basically, she breathed a sigh of relief on some, okay, my son is here. And then the son, well, my ex, right, then like goes into, I'm in the house at this point, right? Her worry and all that jazz. She's busy talking with me. He goes into like the house, the inside, maybe like lounge area and what have you, and does whatever he does. And then the mother looks at this girl that is in the house that came with the son, Gondlu. And after looking at her, she looked away and at me and literally took me, you understand, and pushed me in further into the house to basically go to her son and be with him. And her son was like standing in one of the rooms in the house, and she literally shoved me onto him and took my head and made me like kiss his son and basically make out, do you understand? And start like, you know, fondling and what have you. And she was busy doing this while the other girl was left in the kitchen. It's like she shoved her out the way. She did not treat this other girl like, she didn't say to this other girl, I don't want you. But she gestured in such a way so as to say, whatever, he can bring you home, I don't care, but I want him with Karabo. To a point where she grabbed me in front of the girlfriend that he brought home and took me to where my ex was at and put me, like literally shoved me, put me in a position to kiss her son, make out with her son, and basically almost have sex with her son, like right there. And that the dream then ended. When I woke up, I was like, what's going on? Like, again, I did not quite understand my dreams until later. What's going on? Essentially, whatever girlfriend it is that my ex would bring home after him and I broke up, the mother wasn't necessarily mean, but as soon as, from what I understand in that dream, as soon as another woman came into the picture, she went behind the scenes and wafosta. She went behind the scenes and was like, in front of this girl, hi, what's up, sure, I want Karabo. So went to a sangoma, please bring my son back together with his ex. I don't care, he's brought a woman, she'll leave. But I want him with my ex. I'm with her, with his ex. I'm not going to say it in so many words that I don't like his new girl, or I don't want his new girl. I don't even know what his new girl is about. I don't know whether she's a good girl or not. I don't care. Bottom line is, I want him with Karab. And then I got that dream. Because nizongi foster mina to be with a man. What? Initially, it was, I then got, oh goodness, I got a dream where, remember I told you guys that my ex's dad was influencing him away from me. He would tell, he used to tell my ex that I'm gonna leave him for another man when I get my degree, that he needs to find a woman that's, you know, more sort of kind of his size, whatever that meant, like a woman he can lord it over, etc. I had this like nightmare where I was in a room with my ex, right, on the floor, and we were making out, and then I snapped out of it. It was like, again, sexual dreams, it's always witchcraft. Like we were about to basically get down and dirty, and I snapped out of it on some, what am I doing here? I don't want to be with you. Plus I'm Christian, why am I here? And I got up and I wanted to leave that house. And as I was standing up, his dad, the shadow of him, was in the room looking over the situation, and he was like, Aish, like literally like Aish, like she doesn't want to stay. She doesn't want to stay. Lo and behold, I open the door. I try to open the door to get out, and outside is a cousin of his, a male, a guy, and he is trying to like stay prevent me from being able to hubula munyako so I can get out. And he was just left sitting there on the floor, very sorrowful. And his dad and his cousin were, well, his dad was disappointed that I was leaving, and his cousin was trying to prevent me from getting out of that door. And the dream ended that way. So it was the female cousin, the mom, the dad, one of the male cousins. Everybody regretted it when I left him because of what eventually became of him. Literally, you don't know what you got till it's gone. The dad was the one that spoke badly, but after I left, the effects on him was so bad that he was like, whatever my misogyny might be, whatever my issues might be, this guy needs to get back together with his ex. And something was done. I was making out with him until I snapped out of it. The Holy Spirit, guys, when I gave my life to Christ, I was inconquerable. Nobody could pin me down. Wonkomuntu knew what a good influence I was in this guy. And basically, it got proven that I was keeping him together with sticky tape during the relationship, because as soon as I permanently got out, bonke, they tried to bring me back in, including the misogynists. including the bad guys. That was not the only dream. Not only what did the family try to keep me in, but some of his boys too. I dreamt about some of his friends as well. Months are progressing at this point. He himself has not called me. No one has contacted me. And then I get a dream. Remember that friend that I told you about in my earlier parts, whether a house goes through Rubens Valley? In my neighborhood, that was like, why didn't I meet her first? The one that caused my ex to cheat on me. Then again, nobody put a gun to my ex's head. He did it by himself, but he could have said no. However, he wasn't in an environment where he was being influenced negatively in that regard. Yeah, I had a dream. Guys, this friend of his was sitting like I was in his apartment, in his kitchen. I was cleaning in his apartment. Like, for whatever reason was I cleaning all up in that guy's apartment. And then next thing, he rocks up and he is like a dark shadow. Sitting on a wing back in the corner. And I'm like, oh, you're here. Hi. After all, it was his apartment and I was cleaning in it. So I wasn't surprised, but like I said, he just suddenly rocked up and he was shrouded by darkness. And as he's sitting in that corner, he's like, Karabo, do you know that Nancy is about to marry ABC, right? The ABC that he highlighted, I did not know who it was. All I knew is that I had immediate understanding in my dream that, let's say the name, look, I didn't even get a name in the dream. That's why I get an ABC. He was like, he's about to marry ABC. And then I got understanding or a vision within the dream of the woman that he was marrying. Okay. And it was communicated to my spirit that she was a prolific harlot. Like, she had been around. She had slept even with some of his friends. And yet he was accommodating her. And he was about to marry her. And his boys were scared to tell him that, please don't go out like this. This shit don't make sense. Because they had messed up our relationship, and he was also acting like he was happy, and he did not want to be distracted in the thing that he was doing. And he also appeared to be dazed, in a trance, right, by this woman. It's like she had done something to him, and this guy was pleading with me in the dream to save him from that woman. Really? You break us up? He actually used actual witchcraft, and he caused my ex to hurt me, right? He broke us up. That guy broke us up. He proper did. And now you want me to go back to him because there is a woman in his life that is destructive. And so destructive is he that, given that you care about your boy, you love him, you would much rather watch him be with me even though you hated it than be with her. That woman that was shown me in the dream, I just understood her as a prolific harlot. Do you understand? And his boy was pleading with me to go back. That dream, I woke up from it in the morning. Yeah, like whatever. In the dream, I was like, no, I'm not going back. I told him, I'm sorry, I can't help. I'm sorry, I can't help. And he was sad, and he, like, in that darkened corner, he sort of kind of, he bowed his head down on some, well, I tried. That was more witchcraft. So the same guy that caused me to hurt very much in the earlier parts of my relationship, that literally broke us up with witchcraft, he wanted, like, whoa. This time, and now they want that woman that they made him decimate to go back and work on him. Understand, at this stage, my ex had never called me. He had never tried to get back to me, but I was getting all these dreams. And then I got I got another dream where this time around, what do you call this? My cousin's boyfriend, Go Habona, right? Go Habo, my cousin's boyfriend. My cousin was sitting on a couch with her sister, and she was talking with me. And she was saying to me, hey, I suga, Nonzi is with some used the S word, an expletive to describe a prolific harlot in Setswana, right? Onyetse, such and such a thing. And she's trying to take herself seriously, but none of these boys respect him. I just feel as if, though, Karabo, do something, girl, because that's your man. And I'm looking at my cousin and I'm like, okay, in my dream, right? That is my cousin Go Kauchung, yeah, Go Haba the boyfriend. And then I go to, what do you call this? The lounge area of this particular house, right? And then there is this guy that was he used to give me so much attitude. so much attitude when I was dating my ex the whole time. He was sitting on a couch, yet another lounge area in that same house with his girlfriend, right? And on the floor, I literally right by their feet, my boyfriend, my ex, right at that stage, gay ex-boyfriend, he was busy having sex with some woman who I did not know. In waking life, I did not recognize her. He was busy having sex with her in front of his friend and the girlfriend. And the friend was disgusted on some, this S word. What are you doing with this harlot? Because she is busy. I mean, how in the world is she allowing herself as a woman to sleep with you in front of us? It's like I was being shown the reputation of this female, the kinds of things that she has done in front of people. And he was disgusted actively in this behavior. And then this girl stands up from under my ex and is like, but he's my boyfriend. And then my ex goes on right ahead to give her a bunch of flowers. And then she's like, see, he's even bought me flowers. And this guy, his girlfriend was quiet. This guy says then to my ex, looks at the situation and basically gives a facial expression to this woman like, I don't care. He can buy you flowers. He can buy you roses. He can take you on trips overseas. He can basically try to make an honest woman out of you. But bottom line is, I know what you are. And faneli unonzi. You are nothing. You don't suit this guy. And this woman felt so low and like, are you ever gonna keep looking at me like this? Because frankly, this man has made an honest woman out of me. Mind you, that same guy that used to look at me like I stank, that used to treat me with attitude, right? He, in and of himself, dated a girl, a woman, that all of his boys were like, boy, aye. This chick is like, she's a village bicycle. And he was so in love with her that he was like, whatever, I'll take her, I'll fix her. Lo and behold, he did a couple of years down the line. Everybody started to respect his girlfriend because he stuck with her and basically she was laundered by his love. He was a hypocrite in that instance, therefore, because this woman was apparently in the same situation as his now wife. Mara una Sheba, he was still looking very heavily down on this woman that was with my ex. After looking down on this woman with my ex, he then looked at me on some, are you gonna do something? And I remember just thinking, okay, in my dream. But when I was with him, you used to treat me like the bubble gum underneath your feet. Barely ever greeting. Don't even look at me. Whiff. Like gale force winds, just like walking right by me. And now you want me to go and rescue my ex from this woman? What's going on? My ex, then after this scene that I see in the same dream, I see some mini bus in the dream, like parked outside of the jarata of this house, that is my cousin's boyfriend's family home. This mini bus, they opened it, the cats, 20 cats just got out of there. And I don't know where they went, but 20 cats got out of there. That whole scene, I was surprised to see the cats. I was like, okay, whatever. And immediately after I saw the cats, say 20, my ex then, all of a sudden, like my boyfriend, he was slightly taller than me, like ever so slightly, but he was definitely not a buff guy, like a gym guy. No, not at all. He never used to hit the gym. He never tried to work on his muscles, not at all. He wasn't, by the time we broke up, he wasn't skinny. He had filled out because I fed him, a type establishment thing, but he definitely was not buff. He all of a sudden rose up and became this like big, buff, handsome guy that was just beaming with glory around him. And I found myself in that same dream regretting breaking up with him because look at how handsome he's looking. What in the world? Look at how handsome he's looking. And he, as he was exiting the house through the kitchen of this house, right? A whole bunch of my family members but kamuga from out of nowhere. And they were like singing his praises. They came from out of nowhere and they were like, oh my goodness, Nancy, how you doing? No, but don't go, don't leave. No, but don't go, don't leave. And I found myself being like, oh my goodness, even my family loves him. Why am I leaving this like beautiful, handsome man? After all, he's with some harlot that frankly, for the life of me, I should rescue him from. And then the dream ended. Woke up and I was like, Yinle, what am I seeing, God? What am I seeing? That dream, let's give you the interpretation. Ultimately, when I finally understood what was going on, that was a combination of things. Through it, God was showing me a combination of witchcraft from a combination of people that felt sorry for this guy. Not only sorry, but they insisted essentially that I should get back together with my ex. This is before my ex-boyfriend himself tries to come back into my life. le tlo mo advocatela sebaka se se kakang nna le tlong foster gore ke lo ba le motho grand shapo o tswileng mo modimo a lo rata Satan. Anyway, my cousin, there was a time when I, like, shortly after breaking up with him, she called me and she was like, Karabo, hi you girl, yes cousin, hi man, cousin sister girl, are you and Nancy never gonna talk again? What's going on? I was like, we broke up, girl, you know what's good? And she's like, okay. Anyway, so the other day we were at this like get together of some sort at like a braai, and he had a girlfriend and like she looks exactly like you. He's obviously still hung up on you. I was like, he gets to choose a girl. And then she's like, he's making quite a lot of money now. Hey, so I mean, you are the one that helped him build up. You should be there to spend it with him. I was like, sister cousin, I've broken up with this guy and I'm pretty sad. Plus, I'm in Christ now. And he has no interest in Jesus, so sorry, not gonna work. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Yeah, but she looks exactly like you, hey? Okay, sure. Anyway, yeah, girl, we'll connect tomorrow. Bye, hey? Couple of months down the line from that phone call, just like with his cousin, I get that dream. And in my dream, my cousin is busy telling me that my ex is dating the harlot of the minute. And I was like, ay, kotorong. In my dream, I was like, oh, really? Oh, really? And she was there with her sister, right? Her older sister. I don't know why her older sister was in the dream, but nonetheless, they were there, right? Together. And it's like that whole dream was there to influence me to get back with this guy. And then when I saw the couple, the boyfriend and girlfriend couple that were watching my ex and his girlfriend have sex on the floor, type thing, and then they looked at this woman like she's a scum of the earth and she stank. And then some mean friend of my ex's now is busy looking at me on some rescue him from this abomination down here below. It's just witchcraft, like his boys, some of whom gave me a whole bunch of attitude. Bang zam megadi clara. South Africa is a cesspool, guys. South Africa is a cesspool of incredible darkness. They saw what it is that was the downward spiral that my ex was in, and for them it was like, I better the devil we know than the one that we don't know. We didn't like that girl. She was too androgynous for him. She was too strong. She was too much of a man in the relationship. She wore like pants and stuff, and we were trying to get him to man up, and now she's left, and look at what choices he's making. We can't just watch it. Like how hypocrites men, hypocrite much. Eh? Therefore, I'm pregnant in the kitchen. You want a Stepford wife. Next thing, when one rocks up that is happy to flail flowers that he's buying for her, you then don't like her because you know her history. Jesus Christ, this is what's good, dealt with the kind of woman that all his boys were all up in my grill trying to get me to rescue him from, with a great deal of compassion. That's what's good. It's the woman who was the adulteress that had like 6 husbands or whatever, and she was being stoned. She was gonna get stoned, and the Pharisees were like, she's got all this rap sheet. And Jesus was like, he who has no sin, let him cast the first stone. And all of them dropped their stones one by one, looked at that woman and was like, woman, has anybody condemned you? The woman responds and says, no, Lord, absolutely nobody. And then the Lord said, neither do I. Now go and sin no more. Ungodliness in you, men. The ungodliness in men is precisely the reason why women are suffering so much. You go and you grab a woman with a rap sheet from long ago, and then you are like, she's rubbish. And even so, hypocritically, because this guy was also dating a woman with a rap sheet the size of like my legs, the length of my legs, exactly. Marayena, he prospered to cleanse a woman until everybody started to basically respect her, but he did not want my ex to basically experience the same thing, where he will then launder a female. They went on right ahead and painted her with status of, no, Mara, you don't get to be here, to a point where they wanted to go and humiliate that female, with me coming back to rescue this man from her when I was not even called for a reconciliation. Just the fact that men do not want God causes them, therefore, to basically patchwork something that they messed up because they realize that something else was falling apart that they were not supposed to mess with in the first place. The very thing that I'm talking about. The only way out of this darkness, females, both the Jezebels as well as the Hannahs, both the Peninnahs and the Hannahs, the Delilahs and the Abigails, the Ruths, understand whether or not you was a nasty little girl or a great girl, you have got a great incentive to repent and give your life to Jesus, because these men gonna pit you against each other. Literally go and grab a Ruth or a Rebecca or a Hannah or an Esther, and they will mock the living daylights out of a Vashti, a Peninnah, a Delilah, and a Jezebel using great girls. They pit us against each other so that the Hannahs can basically wear a sanctimonious, self-righteous, holier-than-thou disposition above the Delilahs. We both have an incentive to repent because men are pitting us against each other. And the Bible, the Lord therein, has displayed how he feels about both Ruth and the woman with the 6 husbands or the 7 husbands. How the Lord feels about the prostitutes as well as the virgins. He is impartial. He is not a respecter of persons. So for me to be pitted up against Lord Jezebel is for that strategy in the dream that I gave in the earlier parts to be effected, where women are being used to subdue other women. And the thing about priding yourself in being a godly girl, a godly Ruthie girl, a godly Rebeccaean girl, a godly Hananic girl, in priding yourself in being that, you are at the expense of a Peninnah. You are putting yourself in a position to have men basically be like, I'm leaving this whore for you. Oh, really? So now I'm the second wife. That's what's good. Now I'm the adulteress. Oh, wow. So you leave a Jezebel and then make me a Jezebel. How does that work? You leave a Delilah, then make me a Delilah. You leave a Vashti and you make me a Vashti. Okay, so you leave a wicked woman by the world's standards and indeed also by God's standards, and then you convert by leaving her for a godly woman or a good girl by the world's standards, maybe even by God's standards, and then cause her in the sight of God to be no different from the wicked woman. You then cause her in the sight of God to be literally a Delilah, a Jezebel, a Peninnah, a Vashti, a woman with a whole bunch of husbands. Here it is that you are going on right ahead to cause rottenness in females all over the show. The only kinds of men are the ones that you should be taking into consideration. Women are the ones that refuse to make you unholy, that refuse to make you impure, men that refuse to make out of you a homewrecker, men that will exercise self-control, brittle their flesh, that you might not be made a second wife to a man who has a living spouse, former spouse. Flee from Prophet Lovey. Flee from Marcus Rogers. Flee from men that keep on speaking smack about exes and how ungodly they are, and then come and marry you. Because in the sight of God, you are no different than on that day from Jezebel. You are a destructive woman that is rottenness in the bones of a man whose feet go down to death. You have invited a man into your house that is not your husband. You are no different from the Proverbs 7 woman who says, come into my house and eat of my delicacies. Why? Because when you're godly. No, you're not godly the moment you accommodate Marcus Rogers. You are not godly the moment you allow yourself to be the woman or Shapilengstena, some evil woman. We understand. Labo Jezebel, babolile. But it is not your responsibility to go and rescue men from them. Because on that day you make yourself an adulteress. On that day you make yourself a mistress. On that day you convert into yourself a woman that is an abomination in the sight of Emmanuel. These guys, in pitting women against each other, are causing women to sin very grievously. Let's take Marcus Rogers, for instance. He went and grabbed some virgin off the shelf. That woman is now going to be subjugated to the tyranny of a future of having all different kinds of preachers all across the world coming up against Marcus Rogers for being an adulterer and therefore labeling his wife an adulteress. And that will be ever a thorn in her flesh for the rest of however long that marriage lasts. She will never get her reputation back. There will always be people who look at her as, but why did you marry a man who's got a bunch of former living spouses? The same thing is true of that prophetess what that married Prophet Lovi. Grab a woman that's never been married, never had children, and then you go and make her a second wife while your spouse is still alive. The Bible makes it clear that's adultery. That woman, there will be a segment of Christianity that will never ever again take her seriously, and I'm among those people. There will always be a segment of Christianity that will always go back search the scriptures, they might have a whole bunch of people that support them, that gathered for themselves that union as itching ears to validate divorce and remarriage. But there will also be a segment of Christianity that will be lost to them forever. There is a section of Christianity that Marcus Rogers' wife will never win over ever again. And also Prophet Lovi's wife, I forgot her name. I personally, if at all, for instance, Marcus Rogers' wife had a blog, if she had what do you call this, like a YouTube channel, if she had a book that she had written that I in the past had read, and I really loved her vantage point in Christ as she's going about her father's business, if she had done some work where she's basically writing on singlehood and how to wait patiently on the Lord for a husband, if I had read that book of hers and I had loved what she does, and then she went on right ahead to marry Marcus Rogers, I would lose all respect for her content to a point where I would never buy her literature ever again. I would unsubscribe from her channel and I would stop reading her blog. Because how can I respect you now that you have made yourself a lifetime adulteress? There will ever be people who will look at her like that, even though she will still maintain some followers. That's the risk that I was facing when I got proposed marriage to by a dude that had 2 ex-wives. I was going to be a woman that was followed by certain ladies who were finding my testimony very inspirational, and certain men who considered my fortitude and my waiting on God very admirable, looked at me like I was a Rebecca going about my father's business, who then would have watched me marry a twice divorced man and just walk away from my ministry, and they would be lost forever to me. I would never gain them again. I indeed would have gained other people that would have literally looked at it on some, they're being legalistic, but they are right to walk away. I would never have been the same again. It tarnishes our witness and our testimony. So ladies, to pride yourself in replacing an indeed a replaceable woman, to pride yourself in scooting indeed a bad girl, is to make yourself a bad girl. The only time you should be scooting a woman out the way is if this dude has yet to marry her. That's the only opportunity you have to basically shapa a Jezebel Gastena. But you don't shapa Jezebel Gastena saying it's Ahab. You do not take a woman out the way after she has married him. So if you want to fight, go in a conquest to be the woman to get the ring, you better make sure this guy never ever has a woman walking down the aisle to him. He must never say I do. After he says I do, the battle for his heart is over. Move on, sisters. You better put yourself at his threshing floor literally the day before his wedding day. That's where you must do your stena shaparing. Because on that day, ain't nobody going to disrespect you for basically causing a man to decide not to marry that lady, but rather that one. But once he's married, if you're going to cause a man to divorce, or if you're going to go and grab a man that's already divorced and marry him again, you will literally lose a segment of Christianity forever. Forever. And in my dream, I was being told, scoot this female out the way. At that stage, my ex was yet to marry this female. But my ex is ungodly at this stage. So for those reasons, what am I doing? Trying to get a boyfriend back that does not know Jesus. They were not entirely off in their petition for me to go and scoot that lady out the way, but just their self-righteousness and sanctimoniousness as well. To imagine that lady a harlot when all of them are into random sorcery. They're spiritual harlots. They are prostitutes in the sight of God. They are. But no, they be out there in these streets looking at one prostitute in particular as the baddest prostitute among them all, like a worse off version. I got so many dreams of this particular nature over and over again. One time, I got a dream of his cousin, the one that was trying to close the door, preventing me from leaving when I wanted to get out of a room where I was making out with my ex. I had a dream of him and his girlfriend going on it was a retreat, like a couple's retreat, and my ex and his girlfriend were also there. Like it was a whole couple's retreat, like I said, and they were looking at the girlfriend of my ex like, Sienza, what is this whore doing here? Like she was just very disrespected. And those dreams were basically there to tell me, come rescue your ex from an immoral woman, please. Really? You are trying to bring me back to a spiritual harlot because you want to get me to kick out the way a sexual harlot while you are practicing spiritual harlotry. Okay, so essentially and then become the spiritual harlot that disregards the Lord and gets herself unequally yoked with an unbeliever and goes on right ahead to marry a rando. Minanyo rescue umuntu crash up that doesn't even want rescuing. Because like I said, all these dreams, it was not my ex that was trying to get me back. It was his friends, family members, and even some of my friends and family members. Leave me alone. My ex would not torment me for another year. He left me alone for a whole year. And in that year, it was friends and family galore that were like, Buya karabo buya, Buya karabo buya. I had another dream where his best friend was another one. Onali piziko ofisinyaka following me around, trying to show me what's going on with his boy. Karabo come back, karabo come back. I'm like, dude, leave me alone. Tlogelang ditlhare, tlogelang go loya. Ke lona le sentseng boyfriend chomi alone. You are the ones that made your friend hurt me. And now y'all wanted me back in his life. Inele sono so ni. Got my ex. Everybody was looking at him, allegedly, apparently, loved a really bad girl. And I did not know who this bad girl was, but it was just a reigning theme. Oh, my mom too had a dream. She was like, ooh, Kirabo, I had a dream, my child. At the time, I was yet to have a funny relations with my mother. She's like, Kilori le Karabo, nonsi. That's the name that I gave my ex. Kilori le nonsi, anyetse. Lerato, right? So let's say Lerato let's use the name Lerato. Lerato was and still is to this day one of my mother's friends, right? My own mom's friends. And she was like, Kilorile nonzi anyetse Lerato. And I was like, Lerato, why would my ex marry your Skokwane friend? She's old. She's like, no, Tabakuri, it's not that Lerato kena onanyala. Lerato, hey, who nali busy ka banna. My mother basically was like, it's just okay, it's not that your man was marrying Lerato, it is that Lerato, the reputation. Like growing up, she was really busy with men. And I was like, oh, so basically you're telling me that you dreamt my ex married a really bad girl that was a whore, essentially. Yeah, that's what my mom was telling me. And I was like, that was the second time I basically got something of that nature. It was after I had gotten the dream with the friend in the shrouded darkness telling me, please go back to my boy and rescue him because he's about to marry a really bad woman. My mother got the same dream, and all of them wanted me to go and rescue her. Lendo talena aying yifonelanga mina personally. He did not come and try and connect with me. I would only come to learn that the flood of those dreams were a foreshadowing of but it wasn't an immediate future. It wasn't something that was immediately happening. It wasn't something that was happening right there and then, because my ex ultimately tried to come back after a year, and I will explain that perhaps in the next part I'm looking at the time. It would take about a year for him to try and come back into my life. And when he came back, there was nothing of this activity going on. It was quiet. I believe he had a girlfriend, but it was not that one. He had a girlfriend, but it was not what under heaven was happening. And so therefore, however, only when I had lost everything, remember all these things are happening when I'm still employed. Only after I lost Yonkinto and my life has fallen apart, I then found something out. And that's what I'm going to hopefully expand on in the next part. Let's move to it.